Our speaker today is Brother Shikhar Agnihotri, who will talk about thought powers. Brother Shikhar is a graduate in nautical science from Mumbai University. He worked in merchant navy shipping for about 10 years before taking the voluntary retirement to take inner journey. He became a member of Theosophical Society in 2008, influenced by his mother, who is a long-standing member of Theosophical Society. He is the founder member of Pragya Theosophical Society Lodge and Maitri Theosophical Society Group in Lucknow. He is a national speaker of the Indian section since 2015. He is more interested in practical implementation of theosophy in his daily life. He has conducted study camps, seminars, workshops, youth camps for Indian section at various places. He has been given the duty of International Speaker of Theosophical Society since 2019. Right now, he is volunteering at the international headquarters of Theosophical Society in Adyar. Let us now welcome Mr. Shikhar Agnihotri.
Namaskar, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. First of all, I thank the office bearers of Prayas Lodge, Ghaziabad Theosophical Society, to give me this opportunity to share the thoughts over a subject which is really very relevant and important, not just for today, but have been and had been very important in the past and for the future also. As you know, the subject for today's talk or discussion is thought power. And what I'm going to share in this presentation, the reference to those things have been taken from the books Thought Power by Annie Besant, Thought Forms by Annie Besant and C.W. Leadbeater, and Power and Use of Thought by C.W. Leadbeater, and some of the scientific researches and experiments that have been done in this direction. Few of the aspects that we will be covering or queries that we will be taking up in this discussion is that what is power? Because we all have certain definitions about things. Similarly, what is thought as per science and theosophy? How does the thought work? What is the working of thought? And does thought really have any power? Or we are just talking some theories without any real implementation of that? And if yes, are there any evidences? Then we will also try to cover how do we use this power of thought, or rather misuse of this power of thought, most of the time unconsciously and many times consciously. And then what are the consequences of those misuse? And in the same manner, if there are misuse, what in what ways can we use this power in a noble way? How to help others using this thought power, and the difference and practicality and effect of individual thought power and the power of a group thought that we'll also discuss. Finally, we'll try to see that although it is a power, that every power has its limitation. So what are the limitation of thought? And if possible, going beyond thought. So beginning first of all, let us try to see what is power. Generally, we say power of any sort is a capacity or energy or force which performs an action. If we want to do any work, power is required. Any kind of mechanical work we want to do, power is required. Similarly, there is another kind of power, that is the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. Someone has the power with the words, with their writings, with their actions to change the whole mood of a generation, of a society. That is also a power. And in a most common sense that we use the word power when we supply some mechanical or electrical energy to our devices to power, that it needs power, electrical power to run. So these are the various means attached to this word power. And in our daily life, we can see there are different kinds of power that are used: electrical, magnetic, thermal power, hydraulic power, pneumatic power. And these days, we are having so much use of nuclear power in a good sense and in a not so good sense too. So these are the powers that are managing the things outside. But let us come to a different perspective, that other than these powers, do we have as humans any other power? Because these are now objects, but the subject who is controlling them, does he or she has any powers? Maybe what I'm going to talk may not sound as a power, because very often the things that we have, the things, the gifts that we have, the powers that we have, we take them for granted. And we don't really actually realize them until we become limited or that thing is taken away from us. So the first power in that sense is our human body, physical body, because it is this physical body that helps us do everything of any. Okay, if let us keep aside this subtle part, so many involuntary actions in this body are happening all the time, and without those actions of the body, we'll not be able to move. So that is power in itself, the physical body, and with which we can do things. But going little deeper, this physical body is moved by desires. When we want something, then we do something to get it. So that desire is also a driving force, the driving power that moves this physical body. Although we are not able to see it as our physical body, but just like we don't see the electricity running in the wires, but that electricity makes the light glow, makes the fan run, or different equipments work on electricity. Similarly, this desire is the driving force. Going still deeper, there is something more which we know as the thought. Thought that is the root of all these actions, because it is the thought that comes and then it plans a course of action, how to implement that thought. So basically, once we have a thought in our mind, the action is already started. And that thought combined with desire, giving birth to emotions and making our physical body move, this is the whole process of action, whole process, whole movement of energy. And that's how these three powers we have, with which mostly we are living our daily life. Although we have even grander powers than these, what we are talking about, physical desire and thought, but those which are beyond that thought, we are not going to talk right now, because it will be a too much larger, vast subject for us to cover. But those powers we can still, I think we all know them, the powers of love and compassion and wisdom. which are infinite, impersonal, and unconditional in their nature, which encompasses all, everyone in their embrace. But today, in this talk, we are concentrating ourselves basically on the thought power. So, question is, what is thought? If we take the modern science for giving us the answer, in the modern science, it is said that thoughts are really the outcome of some electrochemical reactions. But the number and complexity of these reactions make them hard to fully understand. So basically, modern science is saying that there are billions and trillions of neurons in our body and in the brain. There are some chemical reactions between them, and somehow these chemical reactions take the form of thought, and it communicates, it can be measured. That's a different thing. But they do not have a clear cut idea of how this thought expresses itself, converts itself in the form of emotions or actions or otherwise. Because the fundamental flaw in the modern scientific theory is that it believes, because let us be very clear in this, that even modern science only also gives us some hypothesis, not the truth. So if modern science is giving us a hypothesis, let us take it as an hypothesis, not the truth, because most of the time the tendency is any theory given in the name of science, we tend to believe it to be true. But most of the time it is not, because later on some other theory comes on and then it rejects the earlier theory and establishes itself as truth, which may be proved wrong later. So, the fundamental flaw in modern scientific theory in this is that the consciousness or thought is the result of electrochemical reactions in the brain. But at the same time, the latest research shows that the quality of thoughts, that is, depending on what kind of a person is, the kind of thought process it has, whether it is a philosopher, educationist, a farmer, or a merchant, or different, or a criminal, whatever, shows that the quality of thoughts can change the structure of the brain, which means the thoughts can change the structure, means the gray matter, the convolutions in the brain can change by the thought, can, I mean, it is able to change them by thoughts. Now, a very interesting thing, if you can see in that if thoughts are the product of the electrochemical reactions, and we are saying that brain is generating the thoughts and thoughts are able to change the brain, it means the created is able to change the creator, which in itself sounds a very difficult or not so logical thing to understand, because the creator is always considered superior from the created. Some An entity is creating something else, so of course that creator is supposed to be superior than the created. So in that sense, if we look, it means that the source of thought is not just an electrochemical reaction in the brain, it is something different, something deeper, and something superior to our physical brain. And herein comes theosophy or Brahmavidya or any spiritual literature, if we read. According to that, thought has a dual aspect. The dual aspect in the sense that thought is a vibration in our mind, not the brain, which is reflected in our physical brain and transmitted to the environment and can be measured by the sensitive instruments. So, thought is a vibration first in our mind, in our mental body, that It reflects into the uh, astral body, and then comes to our physical body in the brain. Then, based on those thoughts, the chemical reactions take place in the physical body. And then from the brain, it is transmitted out to our environment in the form of a vibration, just like any vibration will travel through atmosphere. On the other hand, on very strong terms, theosophy declares that thought is a living entity and it behaves like a living entity and has peculiar characteristics about which we will talk shortly. But before that, let us see the two basic type of thoughts. Thought is a living entity. By that, what is meant is that just as we are living beings, living entities, thinking, acting, doing things based on our likings and dislikings, similarly, these thought forms that we now call are living entities, means they have a mind of their own, they have their shape, they have a form, they have clarity of their body, and they have a lifetime, all of which we are going to study. And only if we could see these thought forms, which the clairvoyant people are able to see in the aura of the person, which is carrying all these forms, that only if we can see these forms all around us, the ocean of these forms all around the society, we would be very, very, very careful about each and every thought of ours. Just as when we meet other person, we just do not ignore it. If somebody is coming to meet us, we pay our attention to that person. We do not just ignore that person. Similarly, these thoughts also are living entities, and we should be very, very careful of each and every thought that arises in our mind. But before we go into those characteristics, let us discuss about two basic types of thought. One is directed thought, and the other is undirected thought, I would say, or as we study in our literature. Directed thought is a kind of thought which has a destination, which is directed to something or someone, including oneself. Because mostly, what do we do? Either we think about ourselves, or we think about someone or something, or most of the time, our mind is idle, thinking nothing, but a lot, nothing in particular, but a lot of things going on at the same time without any specifics. So, those thoughts which are directed to someone or something, including oneself, are the directed thoughts, and it can be directed to an individual, to a group of individuals, or even inanimate things. And no surprises that all the creatures, all the things that we are coming in contact with, animals, plants, minerals, things, our clothes, our shoes, our things at home, everything, we all begin to magnetize these things with our particular type of thought. And a sensitive person can very well feel that and even see that if a person is a clairvoyant. And that's why, at some point of time, if we see some of the traditions, the people who are following a strict spiritual discipline, they begin to separate their things from others. It's not that they don't want to share it because they are cruel or they are not kind or something like that. But the deeper science in that is sharing things with someone else, because such are the people who anyway have very limited things. They will have maybe a couple of set of clothes or their bowls or whatever in which they eat or what they wear. And other than that, anyway, they don't have much to share other than their blessings and good wishes. So the reason behind that is that the magnetism that is being contained in those things around them, if it gets mixed with other people's vibration, it can cause disturbances in the magnetic aura of the person. So these energies that are coming out of us continuously affecting all the things in the surroundings. The another kind of thought is the undirected thought. As I just said, it is the result of an idle mind or a careless mind. This we can also call as psychic garbage, and it is more harmful to us than an evil thought or a bad thought. How is it so? Because if suppose a person is walking a spiritual path and suddenly extremely negative or bad thought comes into the mind of irritation or anger or jealousy or any other kind, the person immediately becomes aware and tries to work upon it, and sooner or later can resolve it. But these are the kind of thoughts when the mind is idle and a stream of thoughts are coming into our mind and nothing specific, we are giving them our energy, sending out them again. These are the kind of thoughts that takes takes a lot of our energy and makes leave us feel exhausted. And that is why they are more dangerous in the sense that they take us a lot of our energy, take from us a lot of our energy. And that is why it is that may be the basis of that phrase that we hear, that an idle mind is the home for evil. So keep yourself busy at least. If you cannot be silent without thoughts, at least keep yourself busy so these idle thoughts do not come in the mind. For example, unnecessarily worrying over petty issues, unnecessarily becoming irritated over petty issues, or thinking about very little things in daily life and spending a lot of time and energy on that. So now let us come to see the characteristics of thought forms that we study. That every thought has a color. First of all, every thought form has a color which depends on its quality. By quality means what kind of thought it is, whether it is a selfish thought or a selfless thought, and what kind of emotion it is attached with. If it is a selfish thought, you can see the color will have blackish touch to it, and if it is a selfless thought, then it will be shining bright color. And depending on the kind of emotion, you can see in the screen that this is the work done by theosophical eminent theosophists C.W. Leadbeater and Annie Besant in this modern era, I would say, to bring this science to us, because by seeing this, maybe we can correlate this with the science of colors that we have in Indian culture or maybe different cultures worldwide, that why some of the colors are used for a particular purpose. Especially if we can remember that the idol of goddess Saraswati, either she is made in the color yellow color, or it is said that her favorite color is yellow. And if you can see in the image, the yellow color signifies highest intellect, and that's what any student has to aim for the intellectual study, highest intellect, and develop the aspirations and work upon the mental aspect of being. Similarly, you can see that on the top middle, the blue color is devotion to a noble ideal and devotion mixed with affection. But if you go in the extreme right on the first line, you can see that the blue color is mixed with black. So there is a blackish touch. And why? If you see that it is because of selfish religious feeling, which I think many of us are prone to do, that we are not devoted to God or supreme reality or let's say any of the divine entities because we love them out of mere respect or reverence, but we are devoted because always we are desiring something from them. Either we are afraid of them or we expect them to be our ATM. Just like we go to an ATM and withdraw money, so we think we can go to temple, churches, mosques, and gurudwaras and mazars or whatever place it is, and we put some money there, and our wish will be granted. So that is purely a business. And that's why if you can see that the blue color is mixed with black. So whenever there is selfless devotion, it will have its own grace. But whenever there is a sense of selfishness, whether in the form of greed or in the form of fear, there will be a mixture of blackish touch to it. So this is the key to the meaning of colors, which can be studied later, whoever wants to. Then we come to the shape of the thought. The shape of the thought depends upon the nature of the thought. What kind of thought it is? Is it helpful thought or a destructive thought? It is a creative thought or a hurtful thought. Depending on that, we can see how the thought form changes. And in the screen, in the images, if you can see, I think very easily anyone with minimum common sense can make out which are the thought forms which are creative and helpful, and which are the thoughts forms which are destructive or harmful or hurtful. Similarly, now we can have the color and the shape. In the first one on top, you can see it is the image, the thought form of the person who was in stage of explosive anger. And that is explosive anger because anger is based on some thought. So you can see the yellow and red color both. Anger based on some thought, and the person is ready to explode with anger or already exploded with anger on the people or things around him or her. Similarly, just below it, if you see the pink circle with whitish tinge, you can see it is the affection, selfless affection, which is radiating in all the directions from a person. A person who has a love for everyone has this thought from him or her, reaching out to the surroundings, to his or her surroundings. Similarly, there are different types of thought forms. We can go on and on, but let us restrict us to this to have an idea. Next is the clarity of the thought. The clarity of the thought form depends on the definiteness and conviction and clarity of intent. How clear our vision is, and how much dedication and commitment behind that thought is defines the clarity of the thought form. As you can see in these figures, on the top you have can see 5 figures which are vague thought forms. They are like clouds, as you can see. And based on color, you can see yellow is of intellect, blue of devotion, pink of affection, and green of kindness. But all these thought forms are very vague. There is not much clarity in it, and not any definiteness in it. And I think we all might have experienced this, that sometimes if you hear about an incident, or accident somewhere. You read in the newspaper or see the some in some news channel that some tragedy has happened. So many people have this feeling of general compassion that, oh, many people might have died, let them be, you know, have a peaceful onward journey after death, and their families be having strength, or maybe not even that, maybe they just feel, oh, what a bad thing. But suddenly, if they come to know that in that accident, someone from their own family, or some friend, or someone known was also involved, immediately you can see the change. From a purely unclear thought, it suddenly becomes a clear thought that then we want to know exact details, we want to take whatever action depending on who that person is, how close is that person is. Immediately we are ready to take actions, our thoughts become clear what to do, and immediately the thought form changes. And as you can see in the bottom line, the clear thought forms, the blue cone, if you can see, it is of devotion, the prayer, selfless devotion, and with a white color, it means it is selfless, and it means the person is very, very clear in his thought that to whom, to what he is praying, and what is the purpose behind that, and what is real prayer. Similarly, we can discuss about other thought forms in detail later on, but basic thing is whenever, especially also, we want something in life, we want to become something, we have chosen a career, or we have a vision in front of us. If we really want to succeed, or we really want to have it fructify, keep as much keep thinking about it with as much clarity as possible, with the minute detail that we want, from top to bottom, left to right, each and every detail. If we start thinking like that, you will see that a lot of unnecessary obstacles from the path will be removed. And next, we come to the last aspect, the lifetime of the thought. Just as everyone, since we are saying it is a living entity, and all of us, this body has a lifetime, similarly, the thought form also has a lifetime, and it depends on the intensity of the intent and the repetition of it in the mind. How many times have we repeated it? With how much conviction, intensity we have repeated it decides how long that thought form will live. And the longer it lives, the longer it helps or hurts, both the sides. The longer it helps or hurts not just the creator but the surroundings as well. So, if we know this, don't we cannot we conclude on the basis of this that it is in our own hands to create our own helpers and our obstacles? Is it not in our own hands to create devas for helping us, devadut, or and the daityas which obstruct our way? So it is this power that we have in our existence, in our being, that we can use. So these four characteristics we saw. Now we come to see how does it work actually, because we saw this is how the thought vibrations and thought forms are. So the moment a thought is generated, as you can see in the image, it has three dimensional effect. It has three aspects to its working. That first of all, it affects the source. The person who has originated that thought will be affected by that thought in the first place. Then the thought vibrations which are generated in the atmosphere will keep moving and moving and moving till whatever distance they can, depending upon the opposing force. If it is a thought of love and compassion and selfless uh, thing, it can move very, very far, because most of the thoughts, if we see in our world, are limited till to selfish ends. But love, wisdom, compassion are the thoughts based on these vibrations, are totally basically moves unopposed, and they go to great lengths affecting as many people as they can, and they return too. And on the third aspect, the thought form, if it is a thought for a particular person, it will reach that person and affect that person in the with the same emotion or vibration that we have created. So basically, we can see that the working of a thought is like working of a perfume. If we want to go to meet someone, we put on some perfume. But the first person to get that fragrance of perfume is oneself. The moment we use the perfume, we immediately get that fragrance. Then, from whichever direction, from whichever path we are going, moving, anybody who is coming in touch with us will be affected, will receive that fragrance. And then when we reach that person to whom we are going to meet, our friend or family member, that person receives that good fragrance. So although that perfume is an artificial perfume that we are putting in, instead we are carrying our thoughts with us. And that's why somehow sometimes it happens that sometimes we meet people whom we have not met before, but we like them and we want to meet them again. And similarly, there are people whom we have not met before. When we meet, we feel uncomfortable or uneasy and we try to get away from them. So, those are the subtle effects of our thought power and thought forms. But now let us come to the point that, is thought really powerful? Or we are just reading some books based on some theories without any evidence? Yes, thought is really powerful, and thanks to modern science, that there are now equipments with which the effect of the thoughts can be measured and checked and recorded. And Dr. Joe Dispenza is known worldwide for his original theory of the connection between mind and matter. And to prove this, he has conducted many experiments, couple of which I would like to share here. That he did an experiment with some volunteers, and during which the volunteer pressed a springy device with the ring finger for an hour a day during 4 weeks. 4 weeks, just like physiotherapists help to recover a patient by doing exercise with giving some device to work with the fingers or some particular muscles. And after the experiment, they realized the finger became 30% stronger. At the same time, another group of volunteers had to imagine doing the same, but in fact, they never saw or touched the device. And 4 weeks later, their fingers were also strengthened by 22%. How? Just by thought. And similarly, another practical example of it took place when, while inauguration of ceremony of FIFA World Cup in 2014 in Brazil. What was special about that ceremony was it was inaugurated by one Mr. Juliano Pinto, 29-year-old person who is paraplegic, which means below the waist, completely paralyzed, cannot move any muscle. But he stood up, he walked, and he kicked the football to inaugurate the ceremony, the World Cup. How did it happen? It happened with the help of the exoskeleton, the suit which was made. There was a cap that was placed on the patient's head to pick up the brain signals, thoughts, vibrations, and relay them to a computer in the suit. And then this computer decodes the signals and send them to the body or the lower part of the body. And then this suit was powered by hydraulics, and a battery was there which allowed working for about 2 hours. And then when the thought of standing up was there in the mind, the suit stood up, and with that, the person stood up. When he thought of walking, he walked, and when he thought of kicking the ball was kicked. And that's how we see that how even the thought that we think we cannot see, we cannot feel, we cannot hear, but it can move a physical matter that we have. Other than that, there have been many experiments over water, as you can see on the screen, that effect on water of immune vibrations before and after, effect on water of prayer before and after, an effect of 500 people sending positive thoughts to bottled water. Now, can we see the difference? It means the ritual or the custom of praying, saying the mantras before eating, it has certain science in it. In India, at least, we see that culture is still in some of the places, in some of the families, but in some places it has been lost. But the science behind it is that when everything, if we see in Indian culture, has been treated as alive. Even if you remember in Ramayana or Mahabharata, the chariots were treated as the beings, and even there are festivals celebrating, worshipping the equipments. So basically, the meaning is whatever things are there all around us, they are continuously receiving, whether it is our car, our scooter, our pen, our mobile, our computer, whatever it is, they are continuously receiving the vibrations from us, either by words or by the way that we are treating them. So we should always be very careful in treating, not just in treating, in being kind and gentle and loving to everything. And we'll see slowly the changes that start taking place in our daily life. And here are some other images. You can see that experiments on water. But just as any power has its positive aspects and negative aspects, similarly, the thought power also has its negative aspects. I would not say the power has its negative aspects. The person, the how is it being used makes it positive or negative. Nuclear power is power. If it is used in generating electricity and any other kind of things which help humanity and all the creatures, it is very good. But the moment it is being used to create nuclear bombs and other kind of destructive equipments, we can see their consequences too. So similarly, the just as we discussed of thought power, there is it is just a power. So the negative aspect, or in the negative way that very often is used, is in the form of gossip. And suppose in gossip, what happens? Normally, two people meet, they talk about a third person, and what happens then? The new person who is coming to that communication gets their mind corrupted, and that person goes to another group of people, communicate to them, and corrupts different minds. And so you can see that gossip, although it's a very small act, but it spreads on such a large scale that it's even called a sin against love. Because imagine what happens if, suppose, we talk about a person that assuming something bad, all these thought forms and thought vibrations will reach. First of all, they will corrupt, influence our own mind. They will make our mind impure. All the people who are being touched by these vibrations will be affected by these thoughts. And then the person with about whom we are talking will receive these so much of force, these thought forms. And what will happen then? If that person is really a good person, all this thought power will tend to make him or her bad. And then he had actually, we have created an obstacle in the path of that person, and we are basically part of that karma. And we then become the part of any bad action that that person does, because we have created that obstacle, we have helped him turn bad. And if that person is already bad, he will become even worse. So basically, talking bad or gossiping about people behind their back is not at all helping anyone. Least of all, the person about whom we are talking, our surroundings, and including us. And these days, it's become so easy that on the television we see a news, and on the basis of that news, some half-cooked information, we make opinions, we start talking with people, WhatsApp, emails, and whatnot. And then we already have decided, we have all become judged, and we have done the media trial. But later on, we find out that that person was innocent and he was framed. But imagine the kind of force and power that in this meantime have been generated. Where will it go? It will remain here in our atmosphere. And when a lot of such energy, negative energy, is gathered, it fructifies itself in the form of wars, riots, natural disasters, corona, or any other similar disasters. And then we blame different people. We blame government, we blame God, we blame nature, and we blame somebody else for that. But basically, it is that thought power, negative thought power, that is slowly getting uh, together, that fructifies in one way or another. And that is why it is said that all of us who are being a party to it in that thought, any negative thought in our daily life, we are actually the one of the cause of any such global disaster, or not only global, if wherever it is happening, wherever such a disaster is happening. So, and on an individual level, this happens on a much larger scale. On an individual level, what happens by the misuse of power is that this negativity comes, reflects on our body in the form of a disease. And that is why the term is coined psychosomatic diseases. Psycho means mind and so means body, which means that the diseases that come to our body due to our thinking, that what kind of thinking we are having invites the diseases in our body. And There have been many experiments on this also, that people who are habitual liars, they are more prone to get heart attacks or migraines, or the people who are more prone to anger, they get joint pains or ulcers in the stomach. And on this, a lot of study has been done, but we cannot go on in detail. But there have been some conclusions that a minute of anger weakens the immune system for 4 to 5 hours. Now, if we are being angry, first of all, anyway, we are losing our peace of mind, we are polluting the atmosphere, and further, we are reducing our immunity, thereby inviting the disease, the attack of the virus. So, it is not just getting the vaccine or a medicine to get rid of any disease. We have to work on the root, the thoughts, if we really want to remove all this negativity from our body. As you can see that when we are angry, it weakens our liver. When we are worried, it weakens the stomach. And when we are stressed, it weakens our heart and brain. And there are many more things to learn about that. And also at this point, I would like to mention that there have been studies that, on the other hand, those people meditate are less prone to dementia and Alzheimer disease in the old age. So that is also one thing we can learn, that how we use this equipment, this tool, this power of thought decides how our body is going to be. So, how can we use this power of thought in a noble way? How can we use it to help? So, every interaction with anything or anyone in our daily life is an opportunity for positive thought transfer. While we are cooking, while we are eating, while we are talking, while we are in office, while we are in commute, conveyance, bus, train, taxi, while we are in market, anywhere and everywhere we are. If we are aware of this power that we have in us, we can continuously send thoughts for everyone around. And we can transfer helpful thoughts to those who are in need of help and to whom we cannot go physically. We are in a train, and on the station we see someone who is in such a state that needs help, and the train is already moving. Of course, we cannot jump out. Depending on the situation, the chain can be pulled, the train can be stopped, but that may not always be the case. So in that case, we can send a helpful thought to that person, and maybe immediately not, but at some point of time, that thought form which will stick, remain in the proximity of that person, will invite help from someone else. That is the power of thought, that we can send just thought form to help people, those whom we want to help, or to the whole existence in whatever way we like. And I think many of the people are familiar with the concept of Ashirvad, giving Ashirvad. When we touch the feet of the people, elder people, they give us their blessings. What is blessing? It is just a thought full of love and compassion and care that someone has for the other. So that was the whole process. That was the process to implement the science of thought. Not telling everyone how it works, but making a system that when you touch, when you surrender yourself in front of a person who is wiser and elder to you, They give their blessings, and when they say those words, those are not mere words, they had that intensity and power of thought behind it, then those blessings really meant something. So basically, even to give blessings, a person has to have a strong thought power. And to have strong thought power, there are different ways, because many of the times the thoughts are distracted, and as long as they are not concentrated, the power will not be there. Just as the sunlight, if it is scattered, it will have its effect. Wow. But once we use the lens and concentrate it into one ray, it becomes laser, almost like a laser, and it burns the paper. So basically, in wherever we are, in whatever position we are, we can always send some helpful thoughts to people, to things, to anyone in general, even to the dead, the people who have left us, who are departed. We can, due to not due to the understanding of this science, people arrange big feasts or pay a lot of amount of money for the welfare of the, or maybe in, that is in their sense, helping the dead people, a lot of money to different people, the priests. But if only if they knew that no money is ever going to reach the departed and it is of no value to them, what reaches them are our thoughts and emotions, because they are at the same plane. So the real help, the real care that we can do to our departed, that we, with wholehearted devotion and love, we send some good thoughts for their onward journey, because everyone who passes over should therefore be followed by these thoughts of love and peace by their family members and loved ones. So that way we can help even those who are out of body. Not just that, we can even help while we are asleep. A lot of effective work can be done by thoughts when we are in body, but when we are also lying asleep, because although our body is asleep, our mind is still awake. And actually, freed from the physical body, the mind is much more powerful as regards the effects it can produce by the thought. And basically, this is the science behind the phrase that the night brings counsel, or to sleep on it before deciding. Because that's how, if we are not able to decide something, let us wait, let us wait for a night, sleep on it, and then during the night, during the sleep, we get some counsel from our higher self. So basically, if we send helpful thoughts to everyone, to those in need every day, that would be really a noble use of this thought power. And finally, we talked about individual and group thought. The studies show that yes, individual thought is powerful, but group thought is much more powerful than the mere sum total of individual thoughts. The group thought increase the power of group thought increases exponentially and not merely additional wise. It is not like 2 plus 2 plus 2 or 1 plus 1 plus 1. Actually, it increases exponentially, that 2 to the power of 2 to the power 2. And you can imagine how a small group of people can bring about a really big change if they are constantly, continuously, and with determination thinking along the same lines. So That's what it is said. A group of like-minded thinkers, such as a group of theosophists, may do much to spread theosophical ideals in their own neighborhood by agreeing to give a fixed 10 minutes a day to thinking on a theosophical teaching. It is not necessary that they gather physically, especially these days due to Corona, but they can come together at a particular time mentally in their own respective houses and work for the cause. And finally, one word of caution, because these days many of the people and so-called gurus, they try to attract more followers or people by telling them how to get what you want just by using the thought power. Yes, it is true that, as we discussed, that when we use thought power for something, it removes the unnecessary obstacles from the path. But it is not just that. Thinking about it and working on the plan are the two things that one has to do. But if we start thinking that just by using our thought and doing nothing in the daily life, we will get things, maybe. But what we have to realize is that it brings certain consequences because nothing is without consequence in this world of cause and effect. So, if we are using a power for something, it will bring its consequences. So, those who think that by using merely the thought power and not doing anything, we can get whatever we want. Yes, maybe, maybe not. But what is more important to know that what is it actually that we want, isn't it? Because yes, we can get everything we want in this material universe, but after getting it, will we be satisfied? And that brings us to the question how to get it and knowing what to get it. So, as we just discussed already, that we have to make the mind concentrated because only a concentrated mind is a powerful mind. So, for that, we can practice concentration, we can keep ourselves engaged and so avoid psychic garbage creation in our mind and avoid the leakage of energy. Try to avoid anxiety, worry, and depression. Try to avoid arguments because arguments don't lead to any solution. They only are the source of leaking, wasting the energy. And the very important thing is keep the daily life organized. Small, small things when we start to organize, the bigger picture automatically gets organized. And one very important thing in this concentration of mind is consecutive thinking. Suppose there is a project to be done, even before the project is started or even you have planned, just try to go through the whole process in your mind step by step, and this will help a lot in concentration of the mind, and it will really improve, especially if you are a manager of in some organization or institution, or if you're a student preparing for some exams, it will really help a lot in your time planning and management of your time basically to achieve what you desire. And two important things also is spend alone time and observe nature. Alone time is very necessary in making the mind concentrated and observing nature too, because while observing the nature, we learn many things. And while doing that only, we learn to go beyond thoughts. Although we have talked about body, desire, and thought power, but still, as in the beginning we said, there is something, the powers which are beyond thought. Maybe at present time and era, it seems impossible that there is anything beyond thought and that thought can ever be stopped or can be used only when needed, and when not needed, there is no thought. But many of the people in the past have shown that this is possible to go beyond thought, because thought is only a tool. Remember, it is not the ultimate thing. It is only a tool that has been provided to work in this threefold manifestation, that we have of physical, astral, and mental. But as a tool is only as good as the project that we are working for, and to the only that limit. But if we want to know that who is working upon it, that who am I am using this body, I am using the desire, I am using the thought to work, but who am I? To realize that, we have to go beyond body, desire, and thought. And for that, there are so many, and that is called yoga. And for that, there are so many disciplines that have been given by the teachers in the past. And on that, we will talk in some other occasion, some other opportunity. But yes, awareness of oneself, of body, desire, and thought is the beginning or the stepping stone for that long and at the same time short path of knowing oneself. And with this, I would like to end this presentation on thought power. If you have any queries or questions regarding that, you can email at pragyacsstudio@gmail.com. I repeat, pragyacsstudio@gmail.com, or you can send to Subralina ji of Prayas Lodge, and she can get in touch with me. If at all, I would be able to answer or maybe share some study that I have done with you. It would be a pleasure, and maybe I will also, and maybe if not, I can at least help in finding where the answers can be found. So thank you once again for listening, and best wishes, and namaste.
Thank you, Brother Shikhar, for such an insightful talk on thought power. Thoughts are the basis of our action and feeling, and we all are so resourceful with our thoughts power. Let each one of us recognize this power and use it for betterment. Thank you all attendees of the session. We will organize more such sessions and